For Montana East Regional News, this is Emily Boyles. Cancer control. Far Eastern Montana has a comprehensive cancer control program. In some counties, it's known as Site 13. We spoke with Troy Barnett about the cancer control efforts in Eastern Montana.
The Cancer Coalition is not really new, but what we're doing is varying. The grant was obtained 2002, and it had a coalition element. Site 13 is essentially just a designated area in the state of Montana, and that designated area is Dawson, Fallon, Macomb, Prairie, Richland, and Webo. And so that's designated in the way that the state looks at the grant that I do as Site 13.
What is your job and what is the scope of the Site 13 Cancer Coalition?
Okay, so my job essentially is that I oversee the screening for breast and cervical colorectal as per our grant, and the educational aspect as in the comprehensive cancer name. So the state obtains funding from the CDC to offer screenings for people that fit in income guidelines. Breast and cervical are the biggies and the most known. So when we originally looked at how this grant began in 2002, it was under women's health. So once colorectal was added, the name was changed prior to me coming into the position to comprehensive cancer, and we wanted our coalition to reflect that the new component of colorectal screening. So the name was changed 2011. I came in December 2011, and the name had, just prior to me coming in, been changed to Cancer Coalition.
You work for the health department directly, is that correct, in Richland County?
My employer is Richland County Public Health. They employ me to oversee the Cancer Coalition as part of the comprehensive cancer grant that we receive from the state. That I do not get paid for specific coalition work. I get paid to do comprehensive cancer and screening work. The coalition comes in as a component of the grant, and that is getting partners to buy the community buy-in, helping at the grassroots individuals understand the need for screening, essentially. And it began with women's health screening, so it only began breast and cervical. It's a good thing to point out that it is Colorectal Month, Colorectal Awareness Month. So, everybody needs to take time to be aware of colorectal cancer, and that everybody has colorectal organs, we hope. So, we're putting that in. I cannot screen very many people in colorectal because we simply do not have the funding. But I think more people are familiar with the breast and cervical program and understand it as a women's health grant rather than a comprehensive cancer grant. Yeah.
Some of the numbers of with cancer in the region, there seems to be a perception that cancer is more prevalent in this area than it is in some other parts of the country. Can you address that from a position of public health?
Well, to get real accurate numbers, we can go to the state epidemiologist, and they do track tumors, cancer tumors, and we haven't gotten any flags that cancer in the three that I look at, breast, cervical, and colorectal, is any more prevalent in the counties that I'm looking at, Dawson, Fallon, Macomb, Prairie, Richland, and Webo. So I haven't gotten any flags that we have an increased number. However, I think the perception, where we're looking at perception, I think it's influenced by the fact that we have a large rural population. Even with every bit of oil and gas activity we still have a pretty rural population that and many that may not have adequate or any insurance. So what happens to any population when they're fearful of paying for a screening because they don't have insurance or they have very high deductibles, so they have catastrophic insurance, is that they tend not to be screened until they become very fearful that there is something there. So the perception, I think, leads because of our rural area and that people do not readily adhere to screening guidelines for colorectal, cervical, or breast. Any time that you put off screening, you might have a perception that there's a larger incidence in it because people simply have not done these screenings.
We'll hear more from Troy Barnett about funding efforts for people in eastern Montana to make sure that they are able to access that screening. We'll be right back after this. Montana East Regional News with Emily Boyles is produced by Marks Group Broadcasting. You can listen weekdays in Glendive, Forsyth, Miles City, and Sidney, Williston, and Dickinson, North Dakota. Find Montana East Regional News on television on KXGN CBS and KXGN NBC. You can also keep up with breaking news and great regional events. Find Emily Boyles on Twitter and Facebook. If you're just joining us, we've been speaking with Troy Barnett from the Comprehensive Cancer Control and Screening Program. She's out of Richland County, serves counties throughout eastern Montana. And like many nonprofits and government entities, there's been a concern about sustainability and being able to help people get to the screening that they need. Troy's program has some new ways now of making sure that their program continues to be sustainable well into the future.
What my initial goal and mission was upon starting in 2011 was that as a state grant, it can really be subject to many things. What really struck me as I studied and tried to think where is it we should go is that a coalition, and really to me the part that really can impact change, meaning people, individuals working toward a common goal and getting people screened. That's kind of a cancer coalition, and to educate on cancer screenings and how we can accommodate people that do not have insurance. So that real grassroots organization could really fluctuate depending on what if we don't need it in the grant anymore. Upon taking the position, I wanted this group, the Cancer Coalition of Site 13, to be there and to define something that they could do to assist people in our region and then live beyond the grant. What we've done here in the last year and built on many people's efforts through raising money for screenings for bra auctions, which is how it began. We wanted more screening money to what we have now, where we're able to start an endowment that will last way beyond me and fund to help people in every one of those counties that we have. So I want to tell you this little story. When I was at the Dawson County Health Fair, I told this individual, and it was actually Mrs. Holton that I told. I told her about what my program does. She was telling me about relatives that she had that had breast cancer, and they were retired and wouldn't fit into my program. So this is a great instance in how this works. But her and her husband talked, and I saw him kind of walking away, and then she came back with a check, and she said, I think this is so important what you're doing that I wanted to give you some money. Now, that's pretty amazing. You see how amazing it can get? And so I thought about this as pretty sacred money, and I wanted to make sure her donation went to people that could benefit it in Dawson County, across the board of Site 13. And it kind of planted in me a seed of how we could do this.
So last year you raised about...
Last year we raised over $65,000.
Who's providing oversight for the endowment?
Well, the oversight for the endowment comes under the Foundation for Community Care.
One of the questions we always ask about public-private partnerships is what percentage is going to administration,
Exactly.
and it's 0 in this case.
That was so important to the members, and that was important to me. As somebody that has cancer, that was so important to me.
This started with your annual bra auction, which started with the endowment. The bra auction will help you go beyond the scope of the grant of just for screening.
There's so many things that happen. You may not be able to work. You might need a little money to help with a car payment. You might need money for, lights. to keep your lights on, and just while you're organizing things. So give them a higher dollar amount to take care of those necessities of life that can be interrupted by a cancer treatment.
The bra auction itself is coming up in April, so it's time now to get people's creative juices out and figure out what you can do to decorate a bra. How can people get involved?
And if anybody that you know, like we had a few from Glendive last year, CC's sponsored a bra crafted by, I think, Teresa Livers of our coalition. And there were a few businesses that sent over bras. We got our auctioneer from Terry, so that's in our counties, and he volunteered his services. And we're actually doing a silent auction. So here's the ways you can craft a bra. We'd love to have it. It would be great. So we've had those coming from Glendive, especially. I'd like to get more. I'd like to get one at least from every county that we will serve. The second thing is that if you're thinking, well, bra's not really our deal, but we could do a gift basket. We are going to have a silent auction.
Okay, and when is
April 26th.
If someone is interested in donating a bra or a basket, who would they call, and what number?
Me. Have them call me, or money.
Okay.
We'll take it all. So there's the three things.
Your telephone number?
My telephone number is 406-433-2207.
Okay, and if there's anyone that's interested in, perhaps they've been diagnosed with cancer and they're in need of a little bit of support from Site 13's Comprehensive Cancer Control Program, how would they contact?
406-433-2207.
The 2013 annual bra auction will be April 26th, Sydney Elks Club. Registration 6 p.m. and entrance is free. And if you have a hot news story or a news tip you'd like to share with us, you can email us at newsdesk@kxgn.com. For Montana East Regional News, this is Emily Boyle.